Hello, I think it's pretty obvious that after the coronavirus outbreak we will have maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest financial crises in the history of the mankind. Maybe even the biggest one, who knows. So that's why I basically like the idea of today in-ear monitors. It's FLC 8P and some time ago I did a review for the few models of in-ear monitors made by FLC. FLC is pretty unusual company, they offer their own signature style, but what is more important, they offer unusual system of sound tuning common for the in-ear monitors. Their flagship model FLC, actually not the flagship, but most popular model, FLC 8N, costs about $300. I don't remember figures, maybe 250, 300, somewhere in this price range. And it offers good sound and many other things. I reviewed it about 2 years ago, I will add links to the description. They also have a few flagship models with prices about $1,000 or so. But FLC 8N is main staple of their model lineup. And they tried to release a few more affordable models. So first attempt was, actually I don't remember the letter, maybe FLC 8D, but I'm not sure. They simplified the sound tuning system, but it didn't succeed as much as 8N, so they've decided to make another attempt and they released FLC 8P. It's basically almost the same model but in plastic case. Price is about $180 and actually it's not really new model, but it exists on market for maybe a few years, but I've decided to talk about it today and let's see how they compare with the, how to name it, not flagship but like full size or full featured model 8N. Package is simple, it's common for the FLC, nice olive color cardboard with fabric-like texture, really pleasant to touch. Just silver embossing of company's logo and that's pretty much it. So as you can see, nothing more. Short manual, pretty interesting with a lot of information. So for us specifications is important: 8.6mm dynamic driver plus dual balanced armatures, 107 decibels and 11 ohms of impedance. And tuning instructions, so you can tweak the ultra low frequencies, and basically treble and mid. So you can select amount of sub bass you'd like to receive, amount of mid bass, and tune a little bit other frequencies. And there are some predefined options that they offer. But usually, I think the most popular is like this one. It's red, gray, and green. So medium amount of lows, biggest amount of ultra lows, and green is a bit treble boosted to tweak the to balance the low frequencies. But of course, it's more a matter of preferences. So let's see how we should take this out. So in the accessories set you will have in-ear monitors themselves with stock cable. There is a balanced cable version and regular one, but nowadays I think everyone have some adapter or DAP with both connections. Nice storage tin with additional accessories inside. Pretty decent set of tips. 3 pair of white and gray silicones, big, really big short clip, and cleaning tool, and of course this set of filters for the sound tuning in this special container, really convenient. It's the same as used with flagship models. So here are filters for the ultra low frequencies, filters for the bass, and filters for the mids and treble, and of course you will have the tool to replace it. So the spirals are pretty convenient, and as you can see they've added nice amount of extra filters for the bass and for the mids, actually even more than with flagship models. With flagships that I reviewed, they just put one piece of each spare filter, so now more of them. Maybe in flagship they also adding more filters. As you can see, they are really small, and they are a bit hard to manipulate using these spirals, so it's better to tweak the sound somewhere under the good light, and of course not on the go. So basically it's sound tuning system, not created to tweak the sound for you for different songs or for different albums. It's just a way to find some single tunings that you like and stick to it. In terms of design, the shape of shell reminds their flagship model 8N, but it's made of plastic. Plastic is absolutely simple, just black, nothing fancy, but looks pretty attractive. Shells are pretty small, so they will fit nicely into almost any ears. As you can see, it's probably some pressure relief holes, and here is tuning system, so you can put out internal bass port for the ultra low frequencies. It should be done carefully, so you can see how tiny it is. And yes, that's what could happen often. Luckily I didn't lose it. So let's put it back for now. Same with bass filter. It's a bit bigger, so it's a bit easier to manipulate. Here it is. And of course we can stick it back, but it could be done in a more simple way. So here it is. And of course third filter is in the spout. It's just screw filter, so it can be unscrewed and screwed back. So in terms of design, it's simple and minimalistic, but looks nice. Shells are small, so they will fit pretty well, I think, into almost any ears without big issues. Spouts have a bit less angle that it would actually, how to express it. So if they made spouts a bit more angled this way, fit will be a bit better, but even at this angle they are pretty okay. Sound isolation is a bit above average, and there is a lip for holding the tips. Actually filter works as this tip, and stock tips are a bit unusual, but many tips will be okay with them. So if you'd like, you can use some third-party tips, spiral dots, spin feeds, almost everything will be sufficient for them. Cable is made replaceable, used 2-pin connector with a bit unusual recessed pins, and FLC offers few versions of replaceable cable. Let me connect it back. So stock cable is medium in terms of usability. It's a bit flimsy and offers microphonic sound, and there is no ear hooks to minimize it. So you need to use probably the pin in the accessory set and a chin slider to minimize this microphonic effect. But also you can get any third-party cable, it will do the trick. Cable itself pretty good in terms of sound and in terms of durability, just not the most convenient one. You can live with it, but of course it's better to get some third-party cable. Anyway, besides the cable, build quality is nice, accessory set is good, and lot of tuning options also present. And of course about the sound, here probably used the same dynamic driver as in other FLC models, so it requires a bit of burn-in, like 20 hours or so, plus minus, maybe a bit more, but anyway. And they continue to use their signature sound representation. They are natural, resolving, and lacking any coloration, so it's model for those who like more natural representation and technical, but not super dry, at least on low frequencies. But actually it's in general probably it's anyway on the drier side of things, so it's not for those who like some additional accents or so. Let's have a player on the table to provide the examples, and it's FIO M15, and let's talk about their sound signature. Bass here is really technical, it's agile, probably it could be called, so you can widely tweak its amount, and I instantly recommend you to use the red filter with additional sub bass, because in this case lows go really deep and it sounds really engaging and pleasant. Also I use middle filter for the mid bass. It's not accented, just a slight accent to add a bit more weight. So basically it's slight accent and good depth. It gives you nice foundation for the whole tuning. Bass is pretty resolving, so resolution is maybe not the highest one, but definitely pretty high for the dynamic driver. Pretty resolving, pretty fast. Actually, it's sometimes even faster than it should be. So sometimes it's sounding a bit dry, but thanks to good control and noticeable amount of the deepest bass, it's not sounding too thin or too analytical or too lacking. In almost all circumstances you will have enough of punch, enough of kick, and actually you can use even more bassier filter if you like even more low frequencies accent. So lows here could be really easily varied in big area. So actually 3 filters for the deepest bass, 3 filters for the uppest bass, so 9 versions of low frequencies. And as an example, I've got a bit unusual track. It's Ghost, Dance Macabre, or how it should be pronounced. I need to check it. So it's well, it's hard to say what genre it is, because based on the cover and on the general classification it's metal, and actually looking at this cover you can think that it's some kind of death or black metal, but actually it's not even close. And on this album prequel, Ghost made a big step from classical heavy metal towards, I don't know, a bit harder rock probably, and with big additional amount of electronic music and some almost disco tunes, and Dance Macabre is not an exception. Actually they have a nice video clip for this track, really recommend it. But why I've selected this track, they're using nice and pretty engaging drums, some big drum with punchy and powerful kicks, and this in-ear monitors represented in a pretty nice and engaging way. In-ear monitors are pretty coherent, so bass transition to mids pretty smoothly without noticeable overlaps, maybe just a little bit. Mids are done in natural and pretty resolving way. It's balanced armatures with a focus on the micro contrast, so they are fast, they are resolving, Sometimes they're lacking a bit of weight, but it's more depending on the track record quality. They are pretty critical for the quality of the recording, so they like something better recorded, and on the good record they will give you all the tiniest nuances, all the details, good amount of realism, nice accents. On the poorly recorded track, they won't try to hide that, they won't try to add some macro dynamics, to add some emotions. No, they are focused on the resolution and being honest. Imaginary stage is above average in width and in depth, maybe not the most huge, but at the same time definitely not intimate or small. So just give them some good tracks and they will represent it pretty nicely, but not expect some highlights. And as an example for the mids, I've got Hans Zimmer live in Prague. Great concert, really recommended to everyone, but I think everyone is aware about it. I could select every single track, but The Lion King is a nice example. Big orchestra with bass guitar, with drummer, with lead guitar, so like some mix of orchestra and rock music and chorus, so everything is present here. Track is really saturated with different instruments, with everything, and it requires good resolution, and these in-ear monitors give it to the listener and gives nice sense of presence on this track. Actually not on this track, it gives nice sense of presence on that gig as much as it possible in these in-ear monitors, of course. And treble you can also vary, and I use the green filter as I've said before. It's actually treble accented, so if you treble phobic, there is a gray filter that you can use to tame treble, but I like more of it. And green filter gives you above average extension and pretty uncolored treble with noticeable but not too much accent. And treble in general, it's like, you know, it's single balanced armature treble. Fast with fast attacks and decays with good resolution. Layering is pretty basic and it's also lacking a bit of weight, but it's compared with some more expensive models. But it gives a nice resolution, good control, nice sense of realism and pretty natural overtone saturation. Not superb, but normal. And as an example, for the treble, I've got Sigurður Rögnvaldsson. If someone knows how to pronounce it, please correct me. And I really like this musician and his project Dark Forest and Lonesome Mammoth. Nice track. Actually, it could be used as an example of low frequencies because it has a pretty well recorded bass line, but I've selected it because there is a lot of percussion here and it's well recorded, and also nice guitars with a lot of overtones, and this in-ear monitor sounding pretty nice with this track playing all this treble. In terms of pairing, they are pretty sensitive, so they don't require something super powerful, but they benefit from some not supernatural source. So basically something like iBasso DX160 will be the best option for them. So something resolving but not absolutely natural. And basically it's middle segment dubs are best choice for them. Not much sense in using them with smartphones or something like that. So to summarize the sound part, once again, it's natural resolving in-ear monitors with pretty pleasant bass going really deep and resolving mids and treble, but sometimes lacking a bit of weight in these areas. So it's for those who like monitoring representation. Speaking about the comparisons, actually the only model that I'd like to compare, it's FLC 8N. 8N is really close in terms of representation, but it's sounding a bit more lively. They better balancing the weight on the mid. They are also resolving, but with a bit more weight. I'm not sure what caused that, maybe some difference in tuning, maybe it's because of shell's material, not sure. But FLC 8N is just a bit more lifelike. There are a lot of models, that could be recalled and can be mentioned in these comparisons, like, I don't know, Hi-Fi Boy OS V3. They are less resolving on mid and treble, but with a bit more mid bass and a bit slower, so it's Hi-Fi Boy is just like a bit less focused on the micro contrast and a bit more focused on the macro dynamics, bit more emotional, bit more forgiving. So, like, other IEM monitors are less monitoring and resolving, while this one is. Same applies, for example, to BQ EVA Z Spring, for example. What else? Sure, tape is more V-shaped with much more lows and more resolving but more noticeable treble and more recessed mids. So I won't try to recall every single model right now, so if you need some additional comparisons, just feel free to ask, but main difference, this one is more on the monitoring and the resolving side. So it was FLC 8P, more budget-friendly version of the popular IEM monitors, offering natural and technical sound with a lot of tuning options. Thank you for listening, stay safe and have a nice day.